Yo, what is up everyone? Welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm Pocket, and in this video series we have been attempting to go for the title for Mythic Plus. So trying to get into the 0.1% of all players, which has been quite the struggle. So the last video we did was week 4, and in this video is actually going to be part 5. So we're jumping a few weeks ahead from where the last video took off. So let's see if an average player like myself can work hard and reach the 0.1% title. So put the key in, full timer, let's go. Alright, so to get everybody caught up, this week we are starting out at an item level of 670 and an IO score of 3197. So like I said, kind of a big jump from where the last video left up to where we are now, but we've been making a lot of progress. And this week is a really big week because I had no idea, but they raised the item level. So now you can upgrade your hero track items by 2 and your myth track items by 2, so you can actually just get a higher item level. And they gave you these little cartel coins now, so you can actually buy raid gear. This is the first time that Blizzard has ever raised the item level like mid-season, so I found that really interesting. I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm kind of indifferent about it. All it's going to do is make players stronger and still end up reaching whatever point it is that they can't progress any further. So if you were doing 10s and that was the hardest thing for you, now you can get higher gear, and now maybe you're doing 12s now or whatever. So I wouldn't say it's a negative thing. I just didn't really see a reason in it, but you know, it is what it is. I'll take more gear. They also uncapped the amount of total crests that you can get this season. So we started off this week just farming for crest, trying to get increased item level and stuff like that, so we can continue pushing into those keys. And as of right now, the highest key that we have done is a plus 15 Priory, which is our first and only 15 that we have right now. And somehow we did it as a Priory because I think Priory is probably the hardest dungeon. And when we did that key, we just smashed it. So it went really well. All right, so the first actual key that we're jumping into this week is going to be a plus 15 Theater Pain. This is actually my key too. So usually when we run my key, we brick it. But, you know, we're going to start off doing the normal, pull the Bloodhorn into boss. And obviously we took an Arcane Mage, so I'm really hoping that this Arcane Mage just single target melts down this Bloodhorn, because he does do a lot of damage when he's doing his AoE, and when you have that on top of the other boss's AoEs as well, it can be quite difficult to heal through. So something I wanted to say after playing Discipline Priest now for a couple months is that this class honestly is just a load of fun. All the spells just synergize so well together with the damage dealing and the healing. And I was a little concerned with Oracle because of Premonition. It's a spell that rotates between 3 different spells. And I was a little nervous about that at first because as a Holy Paladin player, I didn't like Lightsmith, where the same thing kind of happens, where it rotates between the spells. I thought it was terrible gameplay. I wasn't a fan of it. But Premonition, I'm not going to lie, it feels really good. I love it. It's super fun. It was a little tricky to get used to and learning kind of the rotation on how to use it properly. But once you figure that out, it's so much fun. But by no means would I say I am a master at Priest. I would say though I know my way around it a little bit. So if you are a aspiring Disc Priest or you're new to the class, you know, one of the biggest tips I think I have from playing so much is you have to press your buttons. You have to go and rotate through all of your healing abilities, and you need to make sure you're constantly using them. Stop saving them for that special moment. You should be cycling through all your big healing cooldowns pretty much every single pull. And if you feel like you don't need to use healing cooldowns because people aren't taking enough damage, honestly, you're probably running too low of keys. If you're not feeling challenged as a healer in dungeons, I would step it up a little bit. Try running some higher keys for sure. Alright, now moving on, we did have a flawless victory against the first boss, 0 deaths, but here we do have a couple hiccups. Now what you want to do here is just stack with the tank and then just move around with the tank as these little blades swirl around the room. And all of us do this completely incorrectly. The mage does go down, he gets hit by the bleed, and then the big AoE goes off and kills him before I could top him off. So it is kind of my fault, I should have kept him alive. And I was told apparently you can actually, if you're far enough away, the blades won't spawn on you. So I tried running back to not get a blade to spawn on me, and then the monk ended up dying because I wasn't close enough to him to be able to heal him through his bleed. So I just said, screw it, we're just stacking on the boss, or stacking on the mini boss. This is way easy, we're just gonna stay here and it's fine. And sure enough, just staying with the tank, stacking on the tank, and rotating around the room, it makes it so easy. So I recommend just doing that. So after he goes down, we are actually going to skip these mini bosses here. If you use a roar like we have with the druid, you can actually bypass that first mini boss. I didn't know that. That was the first time I've done that before. And this pull can be very difficult too. There's a lot of damage going out. This is one of those pulls as a priest. I'm pretty much popping all of my CDs to keep everybody up. I also know that after this pull is the boss, because we're also going to skip this next mini boss, and the next boss is super easy to heal through. It's not hard at all. I don't need any cooldowns for that boss, so I know that I can pretty much pop everything I have here, and I'm not going to need it for the boss. And then after the boss, all my cooldowns will be up again. The first boss does go down without any problems, and we're already ahead of schedule because we beat the lust timer. It's about to come off right now, and this is when we're going to use our first lust here, or sorry, our second lust here, group everything up, pop lust, and burn down this trash pack really quick. Again, we are going to pretty much rotate through all of our big healing cooldowns here because this is one of the harder pulls. On top of which, too, you really want to stack up underneath the tank here because these guys do jump around. And if you have a whole bunch of rain players standing all in different parts of the room, they're going to keep jumping around. They're going to take less cleave damage. So if everyone just pretty much stacks up underneath the tank, cleaves it all down, it makes it easy for healing as well. And that's pretty much ideally how you want to deal with this pull, on top of making sure you get all the kicks too. And let me tell you, your fear as a priest does not work with anything in this dungeon because all these mobs are immune to fear. So I'm pretty much worthless. I have 0 stops and I don't obviously have an interrupt, so I have to rely on my team for this one. So everything else has been pretty much normal, going through the last boss and the ads and stuff like this. Because we did skip those 2 mini bosses, we are clearing every single pack on the platforms that we go through to make up for that percentage. So once again, we are making really good time. We are ahead of Lust here, so actually just waiting just a second for Lust to come back up. And we are going to use our Lust here on this platform and pull the entire platform. So the ads in this pull really aren't too bad. However, I do know once again that the next boss, I really don't need any big healing cooldowns. He's pretty easy for the most part. So here I can just rotate again through all my big healing cooldown abilities because I know I'm not really going to need them in the future. So this pack did just get melted though with Lust on top of just really good DPS here. We had no issues at all. So moving on up to the final boss room here, we are going to pull these last 3 ads here, and we're actually going to pull them all the way back into boss. You really do want to try to focus down that caster though before you pull him into boss. But if he has a little bit of health left when you pull boss, it's not too big of a deal. We also have a Death Knight tank who just keeps gripping everything, so that makes it super easy as well. On top of which, arcane mages love having trash during boss pulls because of how arcane mage works. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't really play it, I just know they like cleave targets and makes them do more damage. So there we go. That is how we timed this +15 Theater of Pain with only 2 deaths and 3 minutes and almost 40 seconds left on the clock. And there it is. We finally broke 3,200, giving us 3215. To be fair, what I've seen so far is when we time these higher keys, like we're either just completely crushing the key or we're not even making it past the first boss. Like there's no in between. There's no, oh, we missed it by 4 seconds or something. It's like destroyed it or we got destroyed. So I did a little research and decided that with our free raid tokens that we have from doing those dungeons, we're actually going to go and pick up the Jaster ring, which drops off of Gallywix. We haven't killed him on Mythic, obviously, so we only have the option of picking it up on Heroic. So we are actually going to do that, and we're going to replace our Circe Circlet with that. So I'm not 100% sure which one would be better, but that's what we're going to do. I'm pretty sure an 8 out of 8 hero track Jaster ring is better than the Circe Circlet, so I'll let you know how it goes. Alright, so after we timed the 15, my key turned into a plus 16 rookery. And I'm going to spoil it right now. We go into the last boss with 5 minutes left on the timer, and we actually don't end up timing it, and I'll show you where everything went wrong. But first and foremost, this is our very first plus 16 that we've ever even attempted, so super exciting. I know you guys are probably super surprised on how I didn't end up timing this, you know. But to be fair, it did go a lot smoother than I anticipated. Even with those 5 deaths, we still had plenty of time. So the first death we had, the first dots go out, and in a 16, these dots hit super hard. I dispel the mage, however, Align, our druid, gets the dot, and then immediately we have the burst damage afterwards. He gets hit by that, and he goes down. And he's too far away for me to heal him. We do have a battle res though, so we are going to be able to get him up, and he's going to get back in the fight, and we're going to be fine here. So jumping up a little bit, once again, the shield is about to go down. We have a minute left. This is our final burn before the boss. The knockback is going to happen in 3 seconds. The dots go out. I dispel myself. The AoE goes out. I am in the middle of casting Penance on a line, and he dies as soon as the shield breaks on the boss. If Align was alive during this, we could have easily killed him and timed the key. So hindsight, what I should have done was either PS'd myself or PS'd Align, knowing that we both had the dot and the AoE was going to go out. I didn't. I dispelled myself thinking we were going to be fine. Align did not have any defensives up because they were still on cooldown, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. So my very first plus 16 slips through my fingers. But now I know if there's an overlap of dots and the AoE, I should probably PS somebody. Dispel one of them, PS the other person. So we did a few other keys after that 16 rookery, bricked them all, and believe it or not, Align did hop on his mage, his main, who actually has resilient 16s, and he happened to have a rookery. So we are going to get a rematch with this plus 16. Alright, so we start off the dungeon pretty strong. We're jumping ahead to this pull here. I'm going to highlight this because this pull can get wild. We are going to use Lust here. We're pretty much pulling the whole room except the right hand side. And again, we are going to use pretty much everything here to keep everybody alive. And if you're not doing it already, some fun tech that you can do is these big circles. You can LOS it behind these pillars and completely negate all of it. And in a 16, like, these hit so hard, it's almost required that you do it unless you're using a defensive ahead of time. Now look at the damage there. Like, these guys are just popping off. I did think or assume that the Paladin and the DK would be doing more DPS in a big pull like this. But you know, the line's over here popping off, but we managed to keep everybody alive, no deaths. A lot of times I do have a death during that pull, so, and we got a little nice shout out there with the nice heals coming from the pally, so we appreciate those. So really fun pull when you just clear it flawlessly like that. Alright, so don't get me wrong, like plus 15s and above, like these keys are hard, they're super challenging, but the hardest part is it's all about every single player playing flawlessly. If somebody makes one mistake, that's pretty much bricking the entire key. So what you're trying to do is find a group of 5 people who then are going to do the key flawlessly. And if somebody has, like, you know, a mess up, or they're just, you know, not playing good that key, it doesn't mean they're a bad player, you know, they just had that mess up, but it just, you know, ruins it for everybody. And that's the hardest part. But we're actually gonna time our 16 here, giving us 14 points, bring this up to 32, 43, and that is our very first plus 16 ever timed. Next key we're hopping into is going to be a plus 15 Dark Flame, and we're just jumping immediately into the Candle King boss for because my healer friends, you know that probably this is the hardest part in the dungeon when you're doing high keys, because the amount of damage that happens during this is it's insane, honestly. Compared to any other boss in any other dungeon, like, this boss does a stupid amount of damage. Alright, and there's also a difference between knowing mechanics and understanding mechanics. So I've known the mechanics of this fight for plenty of time, but understanding them and understanding where I should be during when is a whole different story. So what really helped us and saved us is one of the biggest issues you have is these little wax figures. Like, if you're not standing in the right spot, they're going to spawn inside of the wax on the ground, which obviously is going to do more damage to somebody who's standing in it. So what needs to happen is when these purple circles go out, the tank should pull the boss away, and then every single person immediately runs past the boss into the open area, which will then spawn the wax figures just like happened right there. And now they will not be inside of the wax on the ground, and everyone can stand behind it, and you know, the circles can absorb it, and it's fine. So once again, every time that these purple circles go out, you need to run towards the boss. That way it absorbs them. And I don't know what happened to that one that didn't get absorbed. It was clearly in the purple circle. That was definitely a bug. I just noticed that as we were watching this. Even with doing the mechanics properly though, in this fight, like, it is still a huge heal check that you have to get through. But playing the mechanics right definitely help, and we are somehow gonna be able to make it through this boss. And honestly, by the end of this boss, like, we are hurting for cooldowns. I mean, we're almost up to 3 million HPS during this fight, so it was insane. And luckily we killed it. It was fine, but if that fight lasted probably 20 seconds longer, I think we would have lost somebody there. There we go, not too bad. We are going to time it, giving us 15 points, bringing us to 32.58. We still have a long way to go though. I think right now, if you wanted to be in the top 0.1%, you have to have everything timed on a plus 17. Somewhere around 3,500. So I mean, we're still like 300 points off, so still got a lot of work to go. But that's gonna be the end of the video here, guys. I appreciate you watching. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and we're gonna keep pushing on. Hopefully we'll get this 0.1% title and call it a day, but you know, we'll see. All right guys, peace out, and we'll see you in the next one.